Stay safe online and save big? Get up to 76% off a 2-year NordVPN plan, plus 4 months free and up to a $50 Amazon gift card. Just scan the QR code or click the link in the description and it's all yours.
Howdy, howdy. I'm Stephen Fothery, filling in on TrekCulture for Sean Farrick, who for some reason couldn't be bothered to be here today, so you're all stuck with me. As many of you might know, San Diego Comic-Con is going on right now. And that's the one time of the year when we can always rely on Paramount to give us some breaking Star Trek news. And we got it, but for whatever reason, Sean thought this would be a great day to go traveling. But his loss is my gain because now I get to be here and break down this trailer for Star Trek Starfleet Academy. We got our first footage from the show, as well as some details on the new characters we are about to be introduced to. So we're going to be breaking down all of that news and this trailer right now. Let's just start off with the very beginning of the trailer. There's these nice shots of the iconic Golden Gate Bridge and San Francisco Bay. I like that it's so nice and hazy, like how it actually looks if you go look at the Golden Gate Bridge. And there's also these shots of the port of San Francisco, a real-life location, but here we see the 32nd century update of it. And the first line of dialogue we get is from Holly Hunter's character, Captain Nala Ake. She says, "And so we begin." She introduces herself as, "I'm Captain Nala Ake, Chancellor of Starfleet Academy." We've now learned that her character will be half Lanthanite, the long-lived species that was recently introduced in Star Trek Strange New Worlds with Carol Kane's character Pelia. And we've also gotten a look at her in the captain's chair in the exclusive shared with Entertainment Weekly, where showrunners Alex Kurtzman and Naga Landau gave some details on these characters. But she will be the captain of this show. Her uniform is very similar to what we've seen in the last couple seasons of Star Trek Discovery. However, I want to point out that her TRICOM badge is very different, so we're getting an updated Academy badge. We then cut to a shot of Holly Hunter and someone else. I think it's actor Sandro Rosta's character, and I'll explain why in a moment. But we see them stepping through these doors onto what I believe is this giant atrium set we've heard about. It is the largest set for any Star Trek show ever. And it looks like we also get a look at that in a photo released by Entertainment Weekly, in which we see Admiral Vance from Star Trek Discovery appearing in Starfleet Academy with the Beta Z delegates. There's also a Dot 23 robot hanging around, so we still have those things in the 32nd century. We cut to a shot of some cadets, some of them the series regulars we know about that we'll get some more close-ups of in a moment. And there's the line of dialogue from Holly Hunter. "We're all the first Academy class to return to our campus in San Francisco after more than 120 years. And this is interesting to me because not only are the cadets going to be new to this, I mean, of course they are, they're cadets, but the instructors at the Academy are going to be new to the school as well. So everyone's kind of on the same page. I think that's going to be kind of unique and interesting. We get a shot of who looks like a possible Romulan cadet. So that's cool. We know that Elnor he might have been the first full-blooded Romulan to join the Academy, but there's still some Romulan cadets way off in the 32nd century. We then cut to a shot of the Starfleet Academy James T. Kirk Pavilion. Something that Naga Landau said to Entertainment Weekly is, "We made sure that the halls of our school are properly named for the most legendary people in Starfleet." So we get to see a bit of it here. And there is a shot of Caleb Meir. That's the name of Sandro Rosta's character. But we see him in uniform, and we know that he is an orphan with a troubled past and an unlikely Starfleet cadet. We get the line of dialogue, "Some of you are here for your families, some for yourselves." We see him walk down the corridor. Another thing that was shared with Entertainment Weekly is that Sandro Rasta plays a key role as the audience's window into the show as a new cadet. So I take that to mean he's going to be the newbie, the POV character, and his introduction to everything will be our introduction to everything. They also said that one of the key relationships is between Holly Hunter's character and Sandra Rasta's character. So I take that to mean that she brings in this orphan, this troublemaker, this kid who's kind of had like the bad end of the stick and maybe has become a bit of a troublemaker, but she's going to put him on the straight and narrow by bringing him into the academy. And that's why I think that was him stepping onto the atrium in the previous shot. We get a shot of someone doing some Starfleet fitness workout in the middle of the night. Looks like they're keeping up their roommate. But I think this is fun that it looks like he has some earbuds. He's jamming out to some tunes while he's working out. So I think this is actually Darum Remy, played by George Hawkins. We get a close-up of him in the next shot, and it looks like he's wearing some combat training gear. He has one of those vests on like they wear when they go into combat situations in Star Trek Discovery. We know that his character is an aspiring captain from the wealthy Keonian homeworld. So we're getting some new planets, new species, and I think it's interesting that a couple of these kids are going to be on the command path, and I wonder if that will be some competition about like who's going to be in command, who's going to be following orders, who's going to be giving them. Speaking of that, we get a shot of the character Genesis Lythe, played by Bella Shepard. She is a Dar Shah, and an admiral's daughter. So when I heard that name, I'm thinking like Genesis, like in Star Trek 3. And there's a shot of who I think sounds like a really fun character, Ceres Acclamation Mill, or Sam, S-A-M, played by Carice Brooks. She is the first Casquian to attend the Academy. She's a hologram created only weeks before her character reached the Academy. So I think that's a really fun idea to have such a young, youthful character. We get to explore the AI thing. I think it'll be very like Data-like, but also unique and different from that in a lot of ways. Everything is going to be new to this character. She's going to be seeing everything for the first time, and I'm looking forward to seeing how she interacts with the most famous Star Trek hologram of all time, Robert Picardo's The Doctor. And we get another shot of Caleb. He's now in a red uniform. A lot of these kids, it looks like they wear red a lot on this show, but they're not all on the command track. It just seems to be like a really common uniform for the cadets. And there's a shot of the Klingon Jaden Craig, played by Karim Diane. We know that he is a young Klingon who dreams of becoming a medical officer. That is really fascinating to me. You know, it was very fun watching a Klingon engineer with B'Elanna Torres. I'm very eager to see the Klingon doctor, or the Klingon medical student, I should say, with Jaden. Then we see a group shot of the cadets looking like they're having fun, looking like they're being friendly with each other. We see them in their gray uniforms, hugging, putting their arms around one another. And just something that I noticed seeing this is that the cadet Caleb has a black stripe on his uniform, which indicates that he has not chosen a division, a career path just yet. So this wayward kid who's been brought into Starfleet, I think we're going to get an arc of him deciding which department he wants to go in. You know, we saw something similar with Rutherford in Lower Decks when he was doing some cross-department exploration, trying to figure out his Starfleet career, briefly, at least for just one episode. And also in Strange New Worlds Season 1, we had Uhura bouncing around from different departments. So if Caleb is going to be the point of view character, I think that will be a fun way to see, you know, engineering training, see science officer training, command officer training, security. He'll kind of get to do it all. And in one of the pictures given to Entertainment Weekly, we see Caleb standing on top of a table in the cafeteria, I guess, or the mess hall. But there is a cadet also there with stripes on his shirt that are red, blue, and gold. I believe representing the different division colors. It reminds me a lot of the sweater Wesley Crusher wore in Next Generation Season 1. I always took those different division colors to indicate that Wesley, as a young Starfleet hopeful, hadn't yet chosen which division he wanted to go into. And we see that kind of represented in this wardrobe as well, possibly. Holly Hunter's narration continues. She says, "Together you're the best and brightest from across the galaxy, a tapestry that is Starfleet." I think describing Starfleet as a big tapestry with the best and brightest from different planets across the galaxy is very on brand for the IDIC franchise. It's very infinite diversity and infinite combinations. And there's a shot of a shuttle entering a planet's atmosphere, and we get confirmation that the show will be out in 2026. No release date, but we know it will be in the early part of the year. Personally, my money is on a February release, give or take a month. We then see what I think is going to be a big talking point coming out of this trailer. The cadet standing in front of a massive wall of names of Starfleet officers. Just too many to name all of them, but some of the highlights for me are Ambassador Garrick, knowing that that was his fate, he becomes an ambassador. Some Enterprise captains from the movies we don't see much of, but Captain John Harriman and Captain Will Decker, they're both on there. Not only is Admiral Tawny Newsome one of the show's writers, and not only is Admiral Tawny Newsome's name on the wall, but so is Commander Beckett Mariner, as well as both Carol and Alonzo Freeman. And we have Lieutenant Commander Belana Torres, Commander Samantha Wildman, Commander Zero the Third, representing Prodigy. I love that. But also some characters that we barely saw in previous shows, like Ensign Sito Jaxa and Midshipman First Class Peter Preston. So it appears that this is a memorial, that these are all characters who have passed away. It's a little weird, Dr. Kolber's name is on there, but keep in mind, Dr. Kolber did die in the line of duty. He just happened to have come back. The problem with this thing for me, though, is I don't like that we now know the fates of some of these characters. Like, it shows Lieutenant Nog. Don't get me wrong, I love the idea of honoring Aaron Eisenberg. However, we now know that Nog never made captain like he did in that alternate timeline we saw in The Visitor. So that's a little sad to me. We also see Captain William Riker, so I guess he's never going to make it to Admiral. I'm kind of torn on this because I love seeing this cool way to remember a lot of these beloved characters, but I'm also thinking, like, isn't that a little kind of small universe that these are all people we've seen in the shows? I just think that there should be a lot more names on there that we've never ever heard of if there's been a 1,000 years of Starfleet at this point. Holly Hunter continues and says, "You will learn the skills that shaped our greatest officers." So very fitting shot to go along with that. We then get a shot of a shuttle taking off. Cadets in formation, like they are being instructed by a drill sergeant for some physical training. They're chanting, "Duty, honor, service." And we see these banners hanging up that say similar things: duty, loyalty, honor, integrity. Some of those cadets, though, they did crack me up. I think there's a Ferengi there, but the guy who looked funny to me is kind of this Bart Simpson-looking guy with a big rectangular head. So I don't know, maybe there's a Bart Simpson alien race out there now. Then one of the major highlights of the trailer, we see the arrival of the Doctor as these doors open and Robert Picardo steps out. No dialogue from him, but we do learn a couple of things that I think are interesting. Number one, there's no de-aging. The holographic Doctor seems to just look like normal 2025 Bob Picardo. And there could be a few different reasons for this. He might have just simply decided to update his programming and age himself. After all, it has been centuries since he was first activated. Another theory that I've heard speculated is maybe he has become more flesh and blood. Could the Doctor have become a golem, like Picard, or like the holographic Grey did in Star Trek Discovery? That might also explain why there's no mobile emitter visible on him. However, I think in 32nd century technology, it would be very easy for him not to need the mobile emitter. There might just be hollow projectors all over the place, or his TRICOM badge might be serving as the mobile emitter. There's a couple shots of what I would describe as young love. They might be going into some of that young adult kind of romance, kind of, I don't know, borderline CW-ish territory. But it looks like Caleb is with Zoe Steiner's character, Terima. We know that she's going to be the daughter of Beta Z's president. But they're holding hands, so I definitely think they're showing us, there is going to be some heavy romance between these two in season 1 of the show. There's a couple shots of meteors coming down to Earth. I don't know if this is like an attack or if they're shooting stars or what they are. But that is also interesting, Starfleet Academy being right next to traditionally the home of Starfleet HQ. That might be like a pretty big target on San Francisco, and we have seen it attacked before in Deep Space Nine and Star Trek '09. We get the line from Holly Hunter, "To dream without limitations." We then see She-Hulk actor Tatiana Maslany in what I think is some type of confinement. Looks like she's being held prisoner by someone. There's a shot of Klingon medical student Jaden looking very sad outside a window. So he might be a little, mopey and emo-ish, might be getting some of those vibes in the show. And a shot of Darum gearing up with yet another Starfleet uniform. So a lot of new uniforms in this show. Another line from Holly Hunter, "Whatever challenges came before today, whatever led you to this moment, you here now, you weave together in the future." And we get a quick montage of a lot of different cool shots. We see possibly Sam walking down a busy school hallway, and then see Sam looking at his screen showing Cisco, which is incredibly interesting to me. Just really have to take a moment to pause and look at this. But it's the shadowy face of Cisco in his black and gray Starfleet uniform from the latter seasons of Deep Space Nine, with text reading, "The fate of Benjamin Sisko, emissary of the prophets. Did he die in the fire caves of Bajor? Did he live on in the Celestial Temple?" So really cool knowing that a lot of the characters we love and respect as Star Trek fans are also going to be remembered in this show. That's who these cadets are looking up to. That's who they are aspiring to be like. So, a little meta, but I can get behind that. We get another shot of romance on a park bench. Some kissy faces between Caleb and Terima. We get a really fun shot of Sam. I believe she's practicing dancing or maybe recently learned to dance. A very Data-like thing to do. But it's cool. It's what I was talking about, getting to see this character explore humanity, explore just existing if she's only a couple weeks old. We get a shot of holographic star charts, possibly a 32nd century astrometrics or stellar cartography. Through this montage, we get the tagline, "Your future is in the stars." And we finally see a really interesting shot. What looks like Letterman jackets in the club. It's kind of a cheesy idea, but I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want to wear one of those. And then another highlight of the trailer for me, Jet Reno in her first appearance in Starfleet Academy, in that atrium, in a new uniform, having what I believe is a whistle around her neck. So is Jet Reno going to blow a whistle like a PE coach and boss these students around with a whistle? I'm here for that. That sounds really fun to me. I can see her having a lot of fun with that. We cut to a shot of a very interesting character that I'm dying to know more about. Commander Laura Thok, a recurring character who's going to be the first officer on this show, who is also a Klingon Jem'Hadar hybrid, it appears. Her face is very Jem'Hadar, but we see the Klingon insignia all over her uniform. That's very interesting to me that Captain Akay is going to have a first officer who's part Jem'Hadar. We know that the Jem'Hadar don't really reproduce the common way. They're all like clones made by the Dominion, and I don't think there were ever any women Jem'Hadar mentioned or talked about. So it'll be fun to explore whatever the hell is going on with Jem'Hadar culture in the 32nd century. Apparently, they're having some relations with Klingons. We get a shot of some spaceships or space stations up in orbit, and I believe we can make out the Archer space dock, so that's kind of cool to have that continuity carried over from Star Trek Discovery. And Holly Hunter continues her speech by saying, So go out and seek, explore, boldly go where no one has gone before. And in the shot, we see Admiral Vance standing with her. And we get some really cool shots of something massive making waves in San Francisco Bay. And it turns out that is the USS Athena, the ship that is part of the school that can land at San Francisco Bay, but it can also take off and leave planet. So this will be the ship that Captain Akay is in command of, and it will allow the show to do both Earth-based stories as well as space or other planet-based stories. We're going to get some interstellar field trips. Also some fireworks celebrating near the USS Athena. So a bit like what we saw in Star Trek Picard with the fleet-wide fireworks for Frontier Day. We cut to a shot of Holly Hunter finishing her speech with both the Doctor and Admiral Vance behind her, saying, "It is my great honor to welcome you all to Starfleet Academy." We get the big logo using some classic font that dates all the way back to, I believe, Star Trek the Motion Picture, but it's the same font that they used for the Star Trek Starfleet Academy PC game back in the 90s. We also have the promise of the show coming in early 2026. Fade to black, and then things aren't over just yet. We get like that last little in-trailer bonus scene that they like to sneak in nowadays when they're editing trailers together. But we get a look at the big bad of the show, at least for Season 1, Paul Giamatti's character, Nus Braca. He's walking down a corridor purposefully. It's very ominous, and he's armed. He's carrying a phaser or a disruptor with a posse who looks like some human characters and some alien characters behind him. And he is whistling the TOS theme. So, a bit like Boimler humming the TNG theme and the Turbo Lift in Star Trek Lower Decks. But I gotta say, like, other than having the small universe names of all the characters we know on that big wall of names, it's also a little weird to me that the show is also going to have characters just be familiar with the theme songs of Star Trek shows. I'm sure that music can exist in universe in a different way, but it's that part of being meta maybe a bit too much for me. I don't know about that. However, I do love the way that Paul Giamatti looks. I love the way that he had to be having fun, right? The actor who says he's a really big Star Trek fan. He was so excited to be on the show. Alex Kurtzman told Entertainment Weekly that they actually offered him 5 different characters to play and told him, pick whoever you want to be on the show. So they really wanted him. He really wanted to be there. I'm very eager to see what he does as a half Klingon, half Tellarite villain. We don't know much else, except that he does have some connection to one of these students. So I'm curious if anyone has any ideas or thoughts on who that might be. He doesn't really look like he would be the parent of any of these kids, but who knows? Maybe someone out there sees something that I didn't, so please, if you have any ideas on what he might be up to or how he might relate to these cadets, comment and let us know. But the final words of the trailer, your future now enrolling. We now know quite a bit more about Starfleet Academy, and just want to point out an omission from this trailer. We still have no signs of Tilly, who we know is returning from Star Trek Discovery. We also don't see hide nor hair of Becky Lynch, the WWE superstar, who is also supposed to be part of Season 1 of the show. So, they might show up in the later half of the season, or they're just hiding them for whatever purpose, but I'm hoping that we'll get a look at them sometime soon. I'm very curious, though, what stood out to other people. I told y'all some of the big highlights in the trailer for me, but what did other people think about it? Please comment and let us know what you think, what you're looking forward to, if there's anything in this trailer that makes you a little nervous. And we have a lot more news coming out of San Diego Comic-Con. Just want to remind everyone that we also got a little trailer for some interesting looking Strange New World stuff they're doing later in Season 4, as well as some details on that Star Trek Con audio drama. So please subscribe to TrekCulture. Keep an eye on the channel. We'll have more videos covering all the breaking news out of San Diego Comic-Con. And until next time, y'all be good, take care of yourselves, and live long and prosper.